So if you guys clicked on this video anticipating seeing like a cute little like montage clip with music playing of us like running into each other's arms through like dozens of other people, no, that's not what we have here today. The FRG leader told me that she would call me when she had an update for me because she didn't know yet. She never called me. It's the photographer telling me that she made it there and that there's literally no one in the parking lot. He's like, I still don't know what's going on. We just spent 10 minutes outside deciding if we were gonna put on berets or not, and they were like, there's no one in there, it doesn't matter. You mean the car that is peeling out of this parking lot? Like, that one? Yeah, that one. I turn on my car and I like chase after this guy, and as I roll it down, he goes, "You looking for Soto?" Yes, that is actually exactly who I'm looking for. And hopefully this experience of homecoming will help some of you guys who didn't have your picture perfect homecomings like you see all over the internet, like those beautiful viral videos. And as military significant others, we are so strong and don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Julie, and as you can tell from the title of the video, today I am going to be telling our homecoming experience story. I would have Sergio here alongside me to tell the story from like his perspective, but like, I know you guys really want to see him in video. Like, I get comments about it all the time, but he does not like to be on camera. He doesn't like his picture being taken. He doesn't have any social media accounts. I don't want to make any promises. I might be able to convince him one day to be in a video, but most likely not. So you guys are just gonna have to deal with my side of the story. If you are new here, I do have an entire series here on my channel about being a military significant other. I also do a whole bunch of fitness related videos. I do perfume reviews. I love to vlog, and I'm currently in the process of still moving into our first home, which, if you can tell, it's still a little bit echoey out here, but I liked the lighting and that there was this nice blank wall behind me. So I hope you guys don't mind all the echoing. You should totally hit that subscribe button down below because I post new videos on all of those topics 3 times a week. And before we get into the story, if you guys want to see photos from homecoming, I have posted and probably will continue to post photos from homecoming on my Instagram, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm very active on Instagram and I would love to hang out with you guys there. I'm actually Jigsaw in the description box down below. I would love to hang out with you. But let's get into what you clicked on this video for, and that is to hear the experience of homecoming. This entire deployment has just been like, I don't even know where to begin with the story. I should have like written down notes. Nothing during this deployment has felt like it went to plan. Nothing worked out right. Just on my end, on his end, just things constantly during the entire almost 10 months that we had apart. 282 days to be exact. I'm pretty sure when I was making my last care package video, which was the Valentine's Day one, that I hired a photographer to do photo and video for our homecoming. So if you guys clicked on this video anticipating seeing like a cute little like montage clip with music playing of us like running into each other's arms through like dozens of other people, no, that's not what we have here today. Let's rewind to about a month before the deployment ended, which was right around when I came down here to find a house here in North Carolina. And I had to go to one of his buddies' houses to pick up the storage key from his wife. So while I was talking to her, I mentioned that I have like no clue how homecoming works. I've just kind of been existing, not knowing how anything goes down. She was like, oh, the FRG leader will contact you. I'm like, how's she gonna contact me? She doesn't know who I am. She's like, what? You haven't been on like the email list? Like all the family and friends and stuff have been getting like all this information. Sergio never gave her my contact information. So I've been out of the loop the entire deployment, had no clue what was going on. I mean, whatever he told me I knew, but apparently there were like emails being sent out or something, and there was like a Facebook group for the FRG, and I didn't know. But she ended up giving my phone number to the FRG leader and we exchanged information. I got her on Facebook, everything's great. And she was supposed to contact me, like, I'm pretty sure it's between 24 and 48 hours before they're home that you should be getting like a general idea of when they're gonna get home and where you're gonna find them, what's going on. So that was great. Now I felt like, all right, I'm gonna be in the loop, I'm gonna know, nothing can faze me, everything's gonna go great. If you're watching this video, I'm sure that you know that military plans change every 3 seconds, from plan A to plan B to plan C, skip over a few and it's plan G at this point, and then it goes back to plan A. It's exactly what was happening for this whole deployment. So he was supposed to originally come home, I think like the end of March, but then a few months ago they said that they're gonna be home at like the end of February, beginning of March. And it just kept changing dates. And I'm trying to keep the photographer updated. She keeps asking like, oh, do you have any updates? I'm like, I literally have no clue what's happening. And he had no clue what was happening either until I think literally they were getting on the plane to go home. He ended up coming home mid-March, and he was supposed to be home at the same time roughly that a whole bunch of like Amazon packages were gonna show up, but those showed up and he hadn't shown up because of the way that the military goes. You literally can't plan anything with the military involved. Like, they don't let you plan anything. He ended up leaving with the smallest group, and they were the last ones to leave, but the original plan was that even though they were leaving later than everyone else, they were supposed to have a more direct flight back over here to the States, and they were supposed to get home before the main body. And then because of how everything goes, they ended up coming home like way later. So the main group came home on, I think it was Thursday, and Sergio didn't get home until pretty much Monday morning. So Thursday came and went, and I saw that like hundreds of people came home and he's not one of them. In my head, I was thinking like, maybe he's like surprising me and he's gonna be home early with the main body. And then I hired a photographer for nothing because he's just gonna show up on the front door like, hey, I'm home. And I was gonna be so mad at him if he did that. Like, thanks for the surprise, but no, that's not how this is happening. And also, just about 2 weeks before homecoming, his phone was on its last leg this entire deployment. It finally broke. So he thankfully had set up something on his iPad that he could text me from his iPad, but only when he had Wi-Fi. Throughout the entire deployment, we pretty much had daily communication. And I know that that's not the case for many people. And some days we would even FaceTime, and like, it was just, we had pretty much constant communication. But during those last 2 weeks of the deployment, he didn't have a phone anymore, it was broken, and they were like packing up and they were out of the barracks. So he didn't really have Wi-Fi as readily available. Basically the last 2 to 3 weeks of deployment, I didn't really have constant communication with him anymore anyway. So I didn't really notice when we like dropped communication, like when he left to start going home. So he disappeared my time on Thursday at like 2:30 p.m. and I didn't hear from him again until 11:30 p.m. on Friday. It did not take them that long to get to their first stop, but I didn't hear from him for that long. So since it was like 11:30 at night, I went to sleep eventually, but then he texted me again at like noon, still on Friday, and I was like, oh, did you make it to the second stop? And he's like, no, we're stuck here because there was like some crazy like hurricane storm going on at the country that they were supposed to stop in at their second stop, and then they had a third stop. They ended up spending all of Friday and Saturday at the second stop. I'm like totally like confused. He was supposed to text me when he made it to the second stop, but then their plane like needed some maintenance done on it, and he volunteered himself as tribute to help fix the plane. And I was like, I get it, you basically do something along those lines as your job, but like, why are you the one fixing the plane? But he finally texted me on, it was Sunday morning, that he had made it to America. They were now in Maine, and they had an 18-hour layover in Maine. I'm like, can you just hop in a rental car and drive down? You'll get here faster. The night before, I had texted the FRG leader like, hey, any updates for me on when he's supposed to come home? So last he had heard was he was coming home at 3 a.m. on Monday morning. And then the FRG leader told me that she would call me when she had an update for me because she didn't know yet. She never called me. It was then Sunday at 4 p.m. that she texts me saying that he's supposed to come home Monday morning at 4 a.m., but it might not be where they normally come home, which is the green ramp here at Fort Bragg. It's like where all of the other homecomings happen. And she's like, it might not be happening at Green Ramp because they're the last group and there isn't gonna be a ceremony and they're bringing home a lot of equipment and it's just small group, like literally, I think there were 15 to 20 people on his plane. It was tiny. Like, this is why there's no video, guys, but we'll get into that. So I asked her, I'm like, if it's not a Green Ramp, where could it possibly be? I ended up texting him, I hear that you might not be coming home to where they normally have the homecomings. Like, where am I gonna find you? I don't know my way around base. And he's like, oh no, it's a big ass plane. There's really only one place that it can land, that's Green Ramp. The FRG leader told me that she would give me an update as soon as she knew where he would be coming home, but since literally no one knew what was happening, she didn't have the update for me. And if I didn't talk to his friend's wife, I wouldn't even know that they normally come home to Green Ramp. Like, this is just not knowledge that I had. And I have his friend's phone number too, and I know that whatever was on Sergio's plane, his friend was coming into work in the morning to retrieve all of that stuff off of the plane. So I knew that he was gonna be awake and like at work whenever Sergio landed. So I texted the photographer like, look, someone said 3, someone said 4, I don't know. So we agreed that we would meet in the parking lot for Green Ramp at 3 a.m. At this point, I wanted to take a nap because it was 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I was like, I'm gonna have to be up at 2 in the morning. I should take a nap. I couldn't nap. I had, you know, the adrenaline. And also, by the time that I actually got tired, it was maybe midnight, and if I fell asleep, I would not hear my alarm, and I was not taking that risk. So I pulled an all-nighter. So I left the house at like 2:30 in the morning, driving into the abyss. It's pitch black because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. When I got to the gate, I didn't know whether the guard at the gate would say good morning or good evening. 3 a.m. is that one weird time where I don't think even they know if I'm going in to like work or to go home. They don't really, like, that's the 1 hour that, what is going on at 3 o'clock in the morning? And as I'm driving, I see that I got a text, and I was driving my rental car, and it would like put the text on my little radio screen. It's the photographer telling me that she made it there, and there's literally no one in the parking lot. And now I'm like, what do you mean there's no one in the parking lot? I'll be there in less than 5 minutes. Oh my God. I pull into the parking lot, I pull up next to the photographer, and I'm like, hey. And we just start cracking up. She came and sat in my car, and we're just sitting there. There's one other car in the parking lot, and there's no one in it. She's done a few homecoming photo shoots before, and she said that's where they normally land, and there's normally a little bit of commotion. She says that she's done other homecomings that were tiny, and there's always like at least the FRG is there, and there's like balloons or something, like a little bit of fun going on, but there was literally nothing. It's now, I would say like 3:45. A car pulls into the parking lot, parks on the other end, and he's just sitting there like on his phone. Like, okay, life. Someone else is here. Something's happening. We're not the only ones, and now we don't feel as weird. Another car pulled into the parking lot, and you could see, like, just the way that the car moved, you could feel the confusion because they pulled into the parking lot, slowed down a little bit, saw that there were only 2 other cars, and just looped back out and drove off because they thought they found the wrong place. And this happened like 4 more times with other cars because no one wanted to stop in the parking lot because it didn't look like anything was happening. It was very bizarre. And finally, maybe like 4:10, a guy in uniform pulls up, and he tries to go into the building that they're supposed to come into. He yanks on the door that we already tried yanking on. Nothing happened. He yanks on the door, nothing opens. He pulls out his phone. He starts like angry calling people like, what is happening? Like, you could tell that he's just like, why am I here? There's no one here, nothing's happening. Even like people in uniform didn't know what was going on. I texted Sergio's friend, hey, do you have any update on what's going on? And he literally responds, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, great, cool, this is awesome. But at this point, a few other cars, since they saw a dude in uniform, they kind of pulled into the parking lot. And one guy got out of his car and walked up to the guy in uniform, and I could see like a little exchange happened. And the guy gets back in his car and sits down. So I'm like, okay, he didn't tell him that this is the wrong place. I turned my car on and I pulled my car up a few spots to pull up right next to the other guy. We rolled down the windows and we're like, are you here for the thing? And he's like, yeah, are you here for the thing? I go, yeah, I'm here for the thing. Did you find out when the thing is happening? It's like, oh yeah, they're still in Maine. They haven't even left yet. They're just getting on the plane now. And I drove all the way over here from Charlotte to pick up my cousin, and I didn't even know. I'm like, well, at least you got the memo that it wasn't gonna be earlier than 4. It's about 4:40 and a few other cars have finally pulled into the parking lot. The band showed up and they all piled out of a van, and the door to the pack shed is open now. And the first man who showed up in uniform came over to my window and tapped on it, and he's like, oh, you girls can come on in. And he made it sound like there was gonna be like some crazy stuff going on inside the pack shed, and like refreshments would be served. No, we walked in and it's literally empty, and I am the only like female there. It's all either other soldiers there ready for the plane to land to like do work for the plane, or it's that guy's cousin, or I think somebody's like parents showed up. And I have my cheesy sign that I made because I had nothing better to do with my extra day, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna leave the sign on the floor because I don't think it's gonna be that hard to find me in this insane crowd. We actually took this hilarious picture of me just like laying on the seats with the sign, like, oh my god, this is literally this entire deployment. This is just, I'm over it. At about like 4:50 or maybe even already like 5 o'clock in the morning, we could hear the plane land. At this point, most of the guys that Sergio works with like came in to the pack shed, and I see the guy that I was texting that said he had no idea what was happening, and I pull up my phone like, you have no idea what's happening? Then why are you here? He's like, I still don't know what's going on. And he just like does a 180 and walks out the door. And I'm like, oh my god, this is a disaster. Now the band is playing just the saddest renditions of songs. Like, they just sound like they're half asleep, and it's making the situation even worse. And I'm joking with the photographer saying like, watch they just fumble in here with their berets off, not even in any form of order, just kind of like flop in like, all right, I'm here. And literally that's how they came in. This is why there's no video. I told the photographer to scrap the video. It's fine. I don't want a video of this experience because this is just, it's so typical of our entire experience with the military. Nobody stood to attention. Nobody really did anything. They just kind of fumbled in. Their berets were off. They're all still holding their guns, and just, he's the third guy in, and I go, there he is. That one's mine. And it was just like, we were cracking up because of just how it happened. He's like, I still don't know what's going on. We just spent 10 minutes outside deciding if we were gonna put on berets or not. And they were like, there's no one in there. It doesn't matter. So they didn't even wear their berets. But even with how everything happened and how everything was so delayed, it got worse. You thought the story was over once we had the embrace and it's everybody lived happily ever after. Oh no, honey. More went down. So we had our long-awaited hug and kiss, 282 days without each other, and even though that feels like it was an eternity, it was so strange because it felt like I had just held him like yesterday. I know that sounds so cheesy. I remember writing in like one of my letters while he was in basic that I was like, oh my god, what if we forget how to kiss? Or like, what if we forget how to like hug? Like, do I put my arms above or below? Like, what if we forget how to like puzzle piece into each other? Like, we forget things about each other. But honestly, almost 10 months apart, and it was like we never left each other's side. I know this is like the cheesiest thing I've ever said, but anyway, so we were super happy to see each other, obviously, and we're cracking up about the entire situation. And I didn't even carry my sign up with me to him. I like left it on one of the benches, and the photographer's taking the pictures, and I'm cracking up. I'm like, yeah, I hired a photographer for this amazing homecoming experience. He's like, why did you get a photographer? I'm like, because it's been 10 months without pictures and I wanted some, but like, this is just, this is what I get. And we took a few pictures, and she left us to do our own thing because there was more to be done. I showed him the beautiful sign. I was like, oh, in case you couldn't find me, I had this beautiful sign made just so that you would know that here I am. So after about 10 minutes, they wanted to herd them all up into a van so they could go drop off their weapons at one place and then go to where they like work, because their bags were being sent over there, even though they could have just gone to the plane and gotten their bags and gone home. Because at this point, it's 5:30 in the morning and it is so late and I'm so tired, and they've been traveling forever, so they're super tired too. So he gets into the van and they go to drop off the weapons, and he told me to follow along behind the guy in the van. And obviously all the other like 10 cars that showed up were all supposed to follow behind this van. But the guy driving the van does not understand that when people are following you, don't drive like they know where they're going. Took off into the distance. And I was the first one right behind him for the first stop, but they ended up not even stopping where they were supposed to stop to drop off the weapons. They stopped somewhere else to drop off one guy somewhere. Followed the van to that first stop, and I'm parked because I'm assuming they're dropping off weapons and they have to do like some sort of official stuff. And some guy who's in charge of Sergio like comes over and knocks on my window. He's like, yeah, so you're gonna wanna follow that van. And I look over, and the van is just, it's almost gone out of the parking lot. He's gone, he left. He didn't even wait for anybody to turn their cars back on. And I'm like, you mean the car that is peeling out of this parking lot? Like that one? He goes, yeah, that one. I turn on my car and I like chase after this guy. And I ended up being, I think, 4th behind him by the time that I caught up to everybody following the van, and it's pitch black and I don't even know where they're going. Nobody gave me an address of which building they're going to, and that wasn't even on their list of places they were supposed to go. I'm following the car that's in front of me that is supposed to see the car in front of them and them. It's like, you know, we should be following like little ducks in a line. The car in front of me turned right at some point. As I followed them, I could see the van went straight, and I'm like, oh my God, no, this is over. So the van went straight, we turned right. I tried to turn around as quickly as possible to go back down the road where the van went. They're gone, I have no clue. Sergio's phone is broken. I don't have anybody's numbers that he's with. I have no clue where I'm going. I had been to where his barracks were before, and I know where those were, but I wasn't sure if he like worked that close to the barracks. I remember him saying that he could practically walk to work when he lived in the barracks. So now I'm driving in the darkness. I have no clue what's going on. I've lost him. He doesn't really, like, he knows our address, but I don't know if he like knows it or had it saved in his phone before it broke. So I don't know how he's gonna get home. He does not know my phone number after literally knowing me and my number for over 10 years, I think now. I drove up to this parking lot, which at the end was actually the right place. The first parking lot that I pulled into was where I was supposed to go. I don't know how, something in me knew. But I pulled into this parking lot and I'm looking for the van that's supposed to have like the 10 to 15 dudes in it, and I don't see it. So I pull out of the parking lot and I go around, and I'm just jumping in and out of parking lots. And I ended up in the parking lot for his barracks. I'm like, okay, I've gone too far. I pulled back out and I looped back around. I pulled back into that parking lot and I see a soldier talking to somebody in a car. It's already like 6:30, so people are in formation. They're about to start doing PT. As I'm about to roll down my window and ask, like, do you have any idea where these people could possibly be? If you know them at all, like, do you know what's going on? And as I roll it down, he goes, "You looking for Soto?" And I'm just like, yes, that is actually exactly who I'm looking for. I see that this has gotten around, that I'm lost. He's like, oh yeah, he's just down there in that building right there. I don't know where you're gonna find parking though, but he's right over there. I'm like, cool. I'm still in my cute dress, which if you guys are interested in the like outfit that I was wearing during my homecoming, I will link to it in the description down below. I loved my dress and my boots. Super comfy, super cute. I felt like they photographed really well, and I love wearing boots with dresses. Totally off topic. So I walk back over to that soldier and he's like, yeah, just go down there and then like turn right, and then he's gonna be in that door over there. It's really windy. I'm in a dress, and the dress was comfortable, but it did have a slit that went up to like my hip. I was wearing a pair of like Nike Pros underneath in case it got windy or I jumped or anything, because I was anticipating a lot more people being at the homecoming and I didn't want to offend anybody with my thighs. Everybody's standing outside either in uniform or in their like workout clothes, and there's just me, who is very obviously not a soldier, with like my full face of makeup on, my hair down and curled, my beautiful flowing red dress. Wind is blowing, everything's blowing all over the place. I'm in like my little leather jacket and I'm just like hobbling towards where I think that he is, and I'm holding my dress together, and it felt like a walk of shame. I felt everybody looking at me and it was so weird. It's like, okay, blinders on, no one can see me. Make it to the door that he says he's behind. I try to pull on it, it doesn't open. A whole bunch of people came out of another door, and I'm about to like walk in through that door, and I happen to see another soldier. Obviously, it's all soldiers. I'm like, hey, do you know where these people are? It's like, oh yeah, they're right through those doors. I'm like, cool, thanks, all right. And I walk in and I go around some lockers, and Sergio's like sitting there in a spinny chair, and he's like, she did it! Oh my God, I had no clue you were ever gonna find us. I am so proud of you. I was proud of myself. I was the first person out of all the people following to figure out where the heck I was going, and he was so surprised because I have literally never been to that building and I had no clue where I was going, and I found him. And during the time that I was pulling in and out of parking lots, apparently he was outside walking through parking lots looking for my car, because he had some hope in me and some faith in me finding him, and he's looking around for me, and he gave up. He went back there like, all right, I guess I live at work now. And also he was looking for my car, but he didn't even really know what car I was driving because it was a rental, so he didn't even know what he was looking for. I'm still so proud of myself for finding him. So now I'm at his workplace. Thankfully, by the time that I got there, they had already done like all of the stuff with returning their weapons. They were just waiting for their bags. They finally get their bags. We finally get to go home. It's probably 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning at this point. The sun is out, birds are chirping. I haven't slept. He hasn't slept. But there it is. There is our homecoming story. And even though it is not a tear-jerking video where there's just beautiful romantic music and slow-mo as we run into each other's arms and I jump on him and embrace him, it's the reality of the military and the reality of our military experience. And even though it went the way that it did with no one knowing what's going on and just so typical, I don't think I would have it any other way, because this way, our first homecoming story is a hilarious one to me. I'm sorry that if you guys were hoping for like one of those cute videos that I don't have one for you. I do have some pictures and I will continue to be posting them on my Instagram at JulieJigsaw. So I think that I covered just about everything about our homecoming experience. I know that that was long. I've been sitting here for a good 45 minutes rambling. Hopefully I didn't miss any of the details, and I hope that I made it enjoyable to listen to. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and for supporting my channel, especially my Diary of an Army Girlfriend series. And just, I really do appreciate you guys. Like, I get so many messages pretty much daily at this point from you guys saying that I help you, or that it's just nice to hear somebody else going through what you're going through, or just preparing yourselves for things you will go through. And if my experience helps at least one person out there, then I feel like I did a good thing. And that's super cheesy, but it does make me feel good. It's always so surreal to get messages from you guys saying that, like, I helped you through things, because I'm just like you guys. And hopefully this experience of homecoming will help some of you guys who didn't have your picture perfect homecomings like you see all over the internet, like those beautiful viral videos. As amazing as those are, that's not always the case. That's not always how homecoming goes, and each homecoming is different, and that's okay. All that matters is that they came home to you and you're together again and the deployment's over and you made it. You persevered through it all. There were ups, there were downs. There were moments where it felt like it's only been 3 seconds, or sometimes it felt like it was 17 years already at this point. Like, why won't this end? And you just start to accept that this is your life now and everything goes wrong. I've heard that many a time before, and it is so true. Right when deployment starts or right when deployment ends, everything starts to go wrong. Deployment definitely makes you as a person stronger, and it makes you as a couple stronger, you as a family stronger, because it is something that most relationships don't have to go through. But once you make it through, you feel like you can make it through anything. Like, I just made it through a 10-month deployment. Nothing can faze me. Whether you are getting ready for your first deployment or your 5th deployment, or you're halfway through, or there's 3 weeks left, just know that if I can do it, you can do it. And as military significant others, we are so strong, and don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. It is not our only defining quality, but it definitely builds a part of your character that is so strong and so amazing and so beautiful. You should be totally proud of yourself, whatever part of the journey that you guys are going through right now. You are both amazing and you got this. I have been talking for way too long. If you guys have any questions or things you want me to talk about that I may have missed about homecoming or anything else relating to being a military significant other, leave those in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. I have been talking for way too long to not get a thumbs up, okay? Like, my mouth is tired, I need water. And of course, I would love to keep up with you guys across all of my social media platforms, especially on Instagram. Check the description box down below for links to everything. Let's hang out all over the internet. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, you totally should. I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.